There are
Wow.
litany of opportunities now compared to back then. Litany of
What you had.
information, tools, artificial intelligence, possibilities, crypto, blockchain. Just take on one thing, be a master of it, and and go for it.
In
You're
between your
welcome.
university days and the time that you started Wild Fusion, did you work in any place? Did you do any 9 to 5, or it was all like, I have clarity
Yeah,
on what I want to do. I'm going for it.
I've always known I'll be an entrepreneur. I always knew that. I always knew that. Hence, my degree was in information systems and management. And I wanted that management side of the degree because it's about managing a business
The
and
business side
managing
of
an
things, yeah.
organization. Yeah, the business side of things. Yes, I did work as a consultant for a company called Schumacher Street. It was a consulting company with operations in Sydney, London, and also in Lagos. We're consulting for Dangote Cement at that time, but it was more on a technology consulting side of it. So I was one of the junior consultant there. That was also very helpful for me. A few gigs here and there before I ended up starting Wild Fusion. Did I have to? Do I think I had all the necessary experience to start and build a company at that time? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. You know, and which is why I would like to use this opportunity to encourage anyone. If you are ready to start, especially at the start of a new year like this, go for it. Sometimes you can get paralyzed by over analyzing. If you want to start, take that jump, make that move, start that business, write that book, start that blog. Do it. You do it. Family felt I should take some more time, have some more work experience, and I'm like, I'm just going to give it a shot, as ill prepared as I am. Thinking about it then, I felt like I went into a gunfight with a blue dart, you know. But somehow I survived, and and if I'm to live my life again, if I'm to live my life again, or if I'm to go back to those days again, I'll absolutely start much earlier, maybe 5, 6 years earlier,
Wow.
because there are
Wow.
litany of opportunities now compared to back then. Litany
What
of
you had.
information, tools, artificial intelligence, possibilities, crypto, blockchain. Just take on one thing, be a master of it, and and go for it.
Abbas, you're throwing me in 1,000 directions.
Please. That wasn't my intent.
No, it's in a very good way, by the way, in a very good way, and
Right.
I appreciate you,
Right.
you know, um, just sharing, not just from your heart, but even throwing a word in there for somebody who is probably thinking of something now and they are killing themselves with analysis, calling all the data, asking for this and asking for that, because, to your point, over analyzing at times can just cripple us and we can't do anything. So, really good to hear you share that. Um, my next question is around, now I know that curiosity, right, kind of set you up for this, right? And you did a couple of gigs here and there, consulting tech and all of that. But this was at some point you were about to stake your life on something that was probably not proven, right? It looked like, yeah, it looked like a possibility, but definitely not proven. And I'm not sure we had a lot of data back then to give you like a size of the market or what the size of the potential. And I'm wondering, how did you convince yourself that this is is worth your life, right? Is worth just going in that direction, leaving everything behind, even possibly getting into a fight or two with mom and dad, like, or with family, to say
Oh
that,
dear,
what, this is the right
oh
thing.
man, I got into a fight. I got into a fight with dad. So typically from my part of the world, we come from a place where I come from a state where you have to be very respectful. Obviously it's across Africa and across Nigeria. to paternal and maternal authority. So
Authorities.
going out to start a business, I had to seek paternal blessings, you know, and went to my dad. My dad was like, "Nope, don't even think about it. Just focus. Don't do it." And I'm like, "I'm not asking for capital. This is a service business. I have the skills. I just need the green light, the paternal consent, if you may, to get started." And it was quite difficult. So let's even leave convincing myself. Let's even focus on convincing him, because you need to be convinced to even convince him. So one of the things I tabled before him, which my elder brother was also very, very helpful in supporting, was, listen, I can afford to make mistakes now and I'll recover. This will be a lot harder if I have responsibilities and if I'm older. I'll probably be unable to take such reckless, pant waiting risk. So let me do this. If it doesn't work out in 18 months, I'll go get a job. But let it not be for want of trying. Let me try and fail. And it was at that point it made sense to him. And he said, that makes sense. Let it get into my journals that I tried and it did not work out. It's never going to be for want of trying if I don't ever get on the path of business. So that was when I got his consent and his blessing. He said, go ahead. And I prayed works and I'm praying for you and all of that. And I went out. So that was on the paternal and maternal side. Personally, from my point of view, you have to work with data. And the way I saw technology, partly because of what I studied, I could see that an evolution was coming that was sweeping over the world and has already started sweeping all over the world as of that time. There were innovations in the West. It would take about 5-6 years for it to get to Africa. So if it's taken off in the West, give it another 5-6 years, it's going to be here. So you see it in the West, in Africa or in an emerging market, you're already sitting on a blue ocean. So take, for example, there are lots of opportunity AI has created today in the West. In some emerging market or global south, there's a blue ocean because they're uncharted territory in this market. If you say it working over there, it is locally, when you see it's locally relevant in your market, by all means, get started with it. Yeah, get starting with it if you're passionate about it and if you want to, especially if it's a blue ocean, and you can compete and perhaps you can build something for yourself before the water gets murkier. And yeah, absolutely. So I could see that coming. I was like, listen, digital marketing is the future of marketing. What are you guys all doing with all of these things? I'm going to go wait for you guys in the future. That was it. The same way someone could have said, listen, fintech is the future of banking as of that time. There were still checks and ATM and all of that. I'm going to go wait for you guys in the future. The same way someone could say, listen, crypto is the future of transaction. I'm going to go wait for you guys in the future. I'm heading. The same way someone would say AI is the future of, I attended a deep tech conference yesterday in Victoria Island, and it was so interesting, some of the things that were shared. For example, AI models are being used right now for drug discovery and pattern tracing and diagnosis and all of that. So basically moving drug discovery from the lab to computer screens and computer models and servers and all of that. So if that is already happening out in your market like this, if you want to be in the future, and you can, go into the future and wait for the market to catch up with you. But there's also the risk of, being too early. There is also being a risk of starting too early. You have to consider all of that. And also there's a risk of starting too late. So you have to know the right time both for you and also for the market. So, just in wrapping up your question or responding to you, I had to convince myself by looking at the data, what was going on in other market, and I knew it was just a matter of time for it to get to Africa, especially mobile advertising, because our market was more mobile first than other market. Then I could see what was going on with M-Pesa in Kenya. M-Pesa, it's Africa's export, or mobile money is Africa's technology innovation export to the world. So it was just a matter of time for mobile money, mobile payment, mobile advertising, mobile retail use of technology to become prevalent in the continent. So that informed my first mover's advantage.
So you are very clear that the opportunity is big, and this is going to work. Like if it is happening already in the West, it will happen here. It's just a matter of time.
Yep. It's just a matter of time, but just be very careful for the listeners. Just be careful of the market you're going in, that you're not walking into a rabbit hole. Some spaces are too small. You can't stay there for too long. You
Yeah,
have to make sure that you're in a place where you can thrive and grow and expand and
absolutely.
scale, at least for another 20, 30 years or 2, 3 decades.
Now, I fully agree with you. I just feel like there's something tricky here, and I need you to help me a little bit, right? And
I'm,
help our
I'm all
audience.
yours. I'm all yours, Kunle, and I'm all the audience, Kunle.
So, uh, before working for Reckitt, I also work a little bit for Procter and Gamble, right? So I've been within the FMCG space for a while, so I know Unilever. I know Nestle. We compete with. Do you understand? I know these guys now, and I remember back in the day that folks will come to the Nigerian business and will tell us that, hey guys, this is the future of retail. This is the future of retail. Modern trade is going to become boom, the main thing, right? And in Nigeria, it's still less than 30% of our business, right? From a total business that is still very small relative to, no, it's grown to be honest, right? But not just as fast as people predicted it would grow. You understand? And my concern or my question is around looking at what is happening in the West and seeing that as a kind of opportunity that we want to bring into our own kind of ecosystem or our own kind of space. How do we discern between the chaff and the wheat, right? Because there are a lot of things in the West today that will probably never take off
Absolutely.
in back home. So
Absolutely. No, 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 no,
how do
no.
we make
Absolutely.
those?
Absolutely. So if you look at, I mean, different markets have different complexities and different elements that inform the uniqueness of this market. And whatever you're importing, whatever you're bringing, you have to adapt them. You have to adapt these ideas to suit the peculiarities of your market, taking into consideration cultural, behavioral, social. You can't just bring it from the West hook, line, and sinker. You have to understand the uniqueness of your market, and then you have to then distill what your market needs and piece that together. So take for example, digital wallet was a global concept for the world, but mobile wallet was an African concept. With an M-Pesa proved the world that mobile wallet or mobile banking with M-Pesa is a uniquely an African innovation. Is it something that is overly brand new? No, because there was digital wallet. Yeah. But tying it to mobile phones and mobile IDs and all of that, storing money on mobile wallets and all of that was an African solution. Think of it like a version 2, much more much more aligned with the peculiarities of the African market. If you have a solution, let's say technology solution from the West, and you're bringing it to Africa, depending on the year or depending on the time, you have to understand the different peculiarities in each of these markets. Africa is a more mobile first region. That was, I mean, when I was starting, it was more mobile first. So I was very big on mobile advertising. So even the FMCG, when engaging with customers, they want to engage with customers on a retail, one-on-one, mobile approach. So it was a mobile first strategy for at least about 10 years with the FMCGs, which may not have been the case in other markets because of how the markets have evolved and the rest of that. So the same thing applies with anything. Anything you're bringing in, you have to understand the peculiarities of your market. While Fusion does have operations in Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya, and even within Africa, I could see some uniqueness in each of these markets. They're not the same. I remember when we set up our Ghana operation, culturally, I could see differences between the Ghanaians and the Nigerians. And at some point, there was a lot of tension between myself and my Ghanaian brothers,
Teams.
because, yeah, because the Nigerians seem to be more, and
Let's
the
go, let's
Ghanaians
go,
are,
let's go.
let's
Guy,
go. And
chill,
the
man.
Ghanaians are, take it easy. We'll get there. I'm like, guys, listen, this is, Lagos, this is, so I have to, at some point, accommodate this different
Approach.
complexities and approach. There's definitely beauty in diversity. So if you're bringing, circling back to your question, if you're bringing anything from outside the country, you must adapt it. You can't bring it hook, line, and sinker. Think about the
Absolutely.
uniqueness of your environment, and there should be a product market fit before you launch the product. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that just helps me kind of bring it all into perspective, right? And I think it's safe to say or to conclude that you have that your depth of local understanding, right, of local knowledge of the local geography of the people of you have this local knowledge so much that it helps you kind of bring everything into relevance and into what really can work in this space and what cannot work. And will you say that was like a big factor in how successful the business have been so far?
Definitely a big factor. Definitely a big factor. I failed a number of times in Kenya. I failed a number of times in Ghana. The business literally collapsed almost 3-4 times in Ghana. In different years. We had to shut it down, set it up, start the operation again, shut it down, start the operation again. Those are all learning curves because you can't take a Nigerian mindset and approach to another market and you think it will work. It doesn't. Each market has its complexity. There are 54 countries in Africa. If you want to play an African play, you have to understand the market. You have to understand the locals, the culture. You have to respect the social dynamics in each of this market. You have to adapt your product to respect the boundaries, the cultural and the social boundaries that exist in this market.
Within the most market.
Yeah, so definitely there's a role your depth of understanding, your social understanding and cultural understanding and local understanding of the market has to play in the success of a product or a company. And that's why we struggled before we got to cruising altitude, for lack of better description. We struggled in Ghana. Yeah.
So if you thanks a lot for sharing that. If I just double click a little bit into that, if you don't mind, Abbas. So if you have to go into Ghana again, let's say you've not succeeded, right? But you want to go in as why are you making that face? You know the question
No,
already,
no,
right?
I know the question, but keep going for the sake of the audience.
Okay, so what will you do differently, right? What how will you mitigate for, because if you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the knowledge, right? But you need to enter this market, right? How will you mitigate that risk such that, yes, I don't have all the understanding, but I still want to succeed and I don't want to fail too many times?
Right. There are different ways to do it. Advisory is so important. Advisory is so important. Setting up a board of advisors, setting up the right sets of people to nudge you on or to advise you in this market is very important. Partnership is so critical. And partnership could be in different forms. They could be deep partnership, and they could just be a formal partnership. What I call formal partnership would be a handshake with a local company or a local that has good understanding of the market. A deep partnership could be a merger and acquisition. If you
Okay.
have the gunpowder to play to acquire, if you have a gunpowder for that battle, then you can definitely acquire, which makes a lot of sense because those guys have conquered the market, gotten profitable, or your target company would have gotten, made some progress in in
Established.
that country,
They had cruise
established,
altitude, right? So
profitable.
yeah,
Yeah, they are cruising altitude, so you don't need to do
yeah,
all the heavy lifting. You just go
yeah.
acquire, and you are cruising altitude. You leapfrog so many things. That's a deep partnership. You may want to also invest in a local company. That's also another form of partnership. But all of these things that I have broken down here involves one, having advisors, two, partners, and these partners could be a formal partnership or a deep partnership. A deep partnership could be through an acquisition. It could also be through relinquishing shares to locals. So you build together with them, which is a form of partnership. It could also be putting up a board of advisors or a group of advisors who are locals, and you have to compensate them in a way they find fulfilling or satisfactory. Don't think that you know it all. Yeah, I felt the same way when going to Ghana. I felt like, come on now, Charlie, it's just next door Ghana now. Yeah, my brother, it's not hard. Just go in there. It will happen somehow, somehow. But no, 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 no. You have to respect the people. You have not. I wasn't disrespectful, but you have
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
respect the complexity of each individual market. You
That trade
tiptoe in,
landscape. Yeah.
cautiously in, do your market research, gather all your data, follow due process, and every single thing. So yeah, I did lose less. We did lose a lot of money before we finally got established in Ghana because of this complexities.
Factors.
You know, yeah.
So it's safe to say that your initial approach was basically to just ship a couple of people from Nigeria, got them a house, set them up and
No,
say, guys,
no, no,
enter the
no,
market,
no, no,
conquer
no,
it.
no, no, no. As a matter of fact, I see myself as very my leadership and my style. I am a very inclusive, sustainable. I have a very sustainable mindset. So I was very big on Ghanaians running the business. So my concept of that, my partnership concept was get a man, a country director, build a Ghanaian team, let them run it. So I've never shipped Nigerian overseas.
Overseas. All right.
I've never done that in Ghana, in Kenya. I've never done that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to that is clear. Thanks for sharing that. I'm just trying to understand why the initial attempts didn't work out. Right. Did you get that? Did you get that?
Yes, yes. I mean, if I'm to double click on Ghana again, the reason why it didn't work out, it was still too early for Ghana. I went into Ghana in 2012, 2 years after Nigeria. So Nigeria, as
You
gang
had
gang
dream.
as it
you had
was,
you had dreaming. Are
I
you
went
still
into
that
Ghana
dreaming?
2012, and Ghana only picked up in 2014, 2015.
No, hang on, boss. Let me process this. Right. Let me process this. You started 2010. You got your
Right.
first deal. You got your first contract or your first
2010,
sales business.
2010, yep,
2010,
whatever,
eight
all
months
true.
later, right? And 14 months after that, you are looking into another country.
No, no, no. Let's put it. Let me break it down. So I started in 2009. So
Okay.
8 months later, into 2010, that I got the
Okay.
first deal. I had to
You got
incorporate
the
the
first
company.
deal. Got it.
Yeah, I incorporated the company. So
You
a lot of the 8 months, a large chunk of the 8 months was in 2009. So the company
see.
was incorporated in January 2010.
Okay. 2010. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
And then
just
in
say about 18
2012,
months later, Ghana.
you're
Yeah.
looking
Look,
at
listen,
Ghana.
I was so adventurous. I mean, when I felt like, well, let me put it this way. I like the name of this podcast. I was an adventurer.
Adventures.
So
I get
um,
it.
where I was heading to, I wanted to, for lack of better description, set Africa free from a technology point of view. I wanted to set up in 54 countries. I wanted to break the shackles, use technology to,
Yeah.
Viva Africa,
Yeah.
liberate 54 countries, da 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 da, and all of that stuff. Look, listen, on the third
That's
country,
getting
I ran out of
moderated
bread.
right now, right?
I ran out of bread by the third country. And I'm like, listen, man, some things are bigger than my paycheck. So I'm just being absolutely vulnerable right now. So, yeah, have the business been successful? Yes. Have we made a number of mistakes? Yes. Have we had a lot of wins? Yes. Have we learned a lot of lessons? Yes. I think could things been done better or smarter? Absolutely yes. I am still very grateful for where we are and where we're going.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and please see you on the next episode.